Hey everyone, so I'm doing something pretty different for today's video. I'm actually doing a bit of a concert review today about a concert that I attended a few days ago and just hasn't really left my mind, and just seemed like a good opportunity to finally do something along these lines. I don't plan on reviewing every concert that I go to because I go to a lot of them and not all of them stand out in this sort of way. And the concert that I'm talking about was this past Friday, which was January the 3rd, 2025, here in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was the band Xasthur, which Xasthur is how that's spelled. And if you're not familiar with them, I'm not too surprised. I'm talking to I think a wide audience beyond just what they would normally be. This is a one-man kind of depressive band with a very long history and a lot of releases, and someone who claimed to not be interested in playing live shows for quite a long time, but then changed their mind on that and found a way to adapt that into a live show. Quite a bit different than what people were anticipating, but I'll get to that in just a moment. I think I opened the video here with one of the videos, and I'm going to splice a few other videos in here as well, but I think it's also worth pointing out the atmosphere that this show was taking a part in and why I was so interested in trying to go to it in the first place. The venue was called the 58 Room in the front part of the East Side Bowl, which is a bowling alley here in Nashville, and it's a really cool room, kind of an old school diner setup, really nice stage and PA system though, so the opportunity to see any kind of black metal, whether it's one man or a full band with orchestration, is just appealing to me there. So I had intended on going to this since it was first announced. I wasn't aware that it wasn't part of a tour or anything. He flew in from where he's living to Nashville to play this show, and then also turned out was playing a show the following night at another Nashville venue with about the same capacity, around 200, called The End. And much to the original promoter's dismay, or not the promoter, I think the promoter did it. It was the venue that was confused about this. And I knew some insider information that they, were doing decent on pre-sales, but apparently it really took off the day before. They got an idea of like, hey, this could be a pretty well attended show. And all in all, there was probably about 150 people in attendance for the whole thing in a venue that holds just over 200. So it was a pretty good feeling room. Most of the people that I knew that were going to be going kind of bailed. It was really bad weather that evening, but I still wound up running into quite a few people just from the moment that I walked in, that there really wasn't any downtime at the show, which is nice thing to happen, if you're going to a show by yourself, and intended it to be kind of with other people there. But let's talk about the flow of the show, though, because I thought it was a touring package, which is important because then I come to find out that the bands on this bill are local Nashville bands, all of which I have not seen before, and would like to know more of the history of them. Some of them, like the very first band, it seemed like they were very fresh, very new to this whole thing, and I like what they were going for, but probably still have some work and some gear upgrades I think would go a long way with those guys. The second band I wasn't quite as engaged in because I was more looking forward to the third band. The first band, by the way, I have listed as Kryptonoptrix. It's a pretty long one. And then the second band, Desertion. I watched a little bit of their set, and at the part where I was most paying attention, they had two vocalists kind of going on at the same time, one in corpse paint, one more kind of a punk style, trading a single microphone back and forth between them. And that was novel, but I wouldn't say it sounded the best or anything. But, you know, I liked the idea of what they were going for there. And then Sadian was up. And that was one of the bands that I was really interested in. I had discovered them maybe a week prior to this show, and was liking, you know, most of what I was hearing from them. Didn't know much about it. Did not know that they were from Nashville as well. Apparently, they only play here maybe once a year or something. So that was nice. You know, but all the bands up to this point were very young, very upbeat type of feeling music, and I got the feeling, you know, it's like, oh, this is going to be kind of weird, then shifting to the headliner, which I was anticipating to do some form of an acoustic set and not actually perform any of his early material black metal stuff with any form of vocals or anything. I wasn't surprised by that. I'll get to those details though in just a moment. Put some video in here from Sadian and then a few clips from Xasthur as we go along too. Again, it was very upbeat type of show. It seemed like the bar sales were doing well. And during this time, I also happened to see, I believe it's Scott Connor is his name, the guy who operates and is Xasthur, the band. So I was able to, he didn't have much space to hang out, I don't think. So he's kind of out just observing the show from the back, and I was able to talk to him. He was pretty nice and receptive. I never know what to expect when I get chances to approach musicians like this. But he seemed like he was pretty cool, and I know that those types of shows are not really like his thing as far as the party atmosphere of it. But I think that, you know, I hope that he was impressed by the turnout. And an interesting point, and this is part of the key of why I wanted to do this too, he had told me a little bit about the sound check experience, and that he wasn't really sure that he was feeling the way that the sound check was going and how for his set was going to go overall. And I also, after this, I believe it was right after, or maybe that or right before, I wound up chatting with the sound guy himself and was just curious, you know, how the sound check went and sounded like and everything. And he's someone that I know and will talk to about these sort of things. And he was saying that it was really weird, and the Xasthur Scott only wanted his guitar and some of the tracks coming through the monitors. So I think maybe very, very little was actually coming out through the house sound system. Be able to hear in the video itself. So that, I think that the sound guy that was working on the show was doing his best to make these tracks sound good, and they probably sounded as good as they ever have. But Scott is also trying to maintain that sound, and I think had the ultimate control over what he is sending to the soundboard. So those things in consideration, I think they were both had visions of what they were wanting, and maybe just the communication was not quite lining up there. It sounded fine for what he was, I think, going for up there. Because once he finally started playing, and this is where I'll shift into kind of focusing on his portion of the show. Once he started playing, he got up there and sat down and started playing almost like it was a sound check, like he was just kind of noodling to kind of fill time before he started playing. But at a certain, maybe a minute in, I kind of got the impression like, oh, he's playing the first song. He just did not announce. There was no announcement of him about to start playing or anything. You just had to kind of be paying attention. And again, this is like after three kind of black and roll sort of bands going, and various types of black metalish stuff going beforehand. So people are partying and having a good time, and then suddenly this acoustic uh, deal kind of starts up. And again, I was prepared for it. This is what I was expecting him to do. But you could tell that there was some visible confusion going on with some of the other attendees. It seemed like the alcohol sales just kind of like halted there a little bit. Some people were very engaged with it. In fact, there was some of the younger crowd that was there that I even saw like sitting cross-legged up near the front of the stage, and I thought that was really interesting. And then in the same vein, I saw some older people who I don't know if they just came because it was trendy or because maybe they were expecting some old school black metal or because of one of the other opening bands or something. But people were like running around, like having almost like visible uncomfortable reactions to it, which if you're familiar with the music makes sense. It is supposed to be kind of disjointed and uncomfortable, and it's not really your good time party fun music by design. So that's all cool. But that part was really funny, and he was playing so quiet. Again, he and the sound guy were both talking about how Xasthur Scott was saying that he didn't want to be that loud, and the sound guy was saying he doesn't want to be that loud. He only wants to be coming through the monitors. And this is an interesting point too. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but he's playing a 12-string guitar. His second backup 12-string guitar is also on stage, and it's plugged in full volume. So any of the feedback coming off of the monitors these get in there is creating like a kind of like a feedback. And I almost wondered if that was a way to try to control the volume on stage and not push the volume into those feedback territories. I didn't ask him about that afterwards, but that was something that I was wondering at the time. And yeah, I mean, some people were listening, some people were just full on talking, just like had been drinking and are just talking like they're having to talk over music or something. So that I feel like I don't know if it ruined the mood. I wasn't expecting it to be a completely quiet acoustic set or uh a party fun time set. I was expecting something kind of in between, and it almost did kind of remind me of, say something in a jazz lounge sort of thing where maybe there's conversation but it's very stripped down, and there was really nothing like it, that I have experienced, especially in that room. But as far as just like a show dynamic too, like sometimes on smaller shows in Nashville, like you will have kind of mixed bills of just whoever is available, and I've been a part of those bills, and they're fun, it's cool. But like a show on that level that was kind of stacked like that was very odd, and even the next day I was at that same venue as well, helping out with some stuff, and the staff, we were just talking about. Uh, the people coming in and the people going out and the people's reactions, and most of them being unfamiliar with the music. I was having to kind of explain some of the stuff, and just to show too. So I did have to snag a shirt. That's pretty cool, long sleeve, just to show that off too. Logo going all the way down. So that's the Xasthur logo on the sleeves there. But yeah, it's now been a few days since, and it's been just getting at me and getting at me. And the more I think about it, the more I think, man, I want to collect these thoughts, but I also kind of want to share some of these thoughts and put them out there. So I did not make it to the following night show where he played at the end. The lineup was completely different for the opening three bands, so I anticipate that would at least had to have affected the show some. I'm not as big of a fan of that venue, the end, as I am seeing things in the 58, even though the capacity is about the same. The PA at the 58 is so much better, and regular people mixing rather than I could get into those details, and maybe I should do more of a review of some of my experiences with some of these venues in Nashville. But yeah, I'm just curious. Were you at either of these shows? Have you seen him at any of the previous shows, and what do you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'd really love to hear if you hated it and were disappointed by it. Again, that was one of the more amusing things about the show to me, was just seeing the discomfort in these people, and almost feeling like this isn't what I expected. That I listened to more, crazier hard stuff than this. That was the funny part to me that I can't get past and everything. So again, it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. I told everyone involved that I hope that there's more shows like that around. One more funny detail that I should throw out there too. So this venue, Eastside Bowl, has their 58 room, which is in the front, holds about 200 people. They have a lounge off to kind of behind the bowling alley that has a much smaller stage that just kind of is like a corner of the bar and faces out. And then they have a 750, 800 person room in the back. Now, with the sales of the show about where they were, and this being in the middle of venue right there, there could be the potential of moving it up into the larger room right there, which I think, and I think Scott would probably agree, would have been a mistake. Just not quite big enough. That's not the spectacle I think that he wants for his type of show. And when I was talking to him about the room that we were in versus the room he was playing the following night, he actually told me, and I told the venue later, and they thought this was hilarious, that he actually really wanted to play in the little room, like on the out in the open bar, but like in the corner and everything. Like to him, that would have been more like the size of what he kind of wanted. And they laughed because, number one, what he did with the drink sales in the venue dropping off right there would not have been good business to put that in a bar setting and hope that you're going to keep that going. It would have been a cool spectacle, though. Like, I would have enjoyed that as someone attending the show, but I totally understand why that would not have worked. Upgrading to the larger venue would not have worked. I think that right where he was actually like great, even though the environment was maybe not the best for it. You would expect something like this to be in a cave or something, not in a 50s, 60s kind of throwback style diner type thing, looking venue. But again, yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap it. I could just go on and on about details that I'm remembering about this show, but again, let's wrap it. I don't want to make a habit of doing these review type videos, but I just had to get this one out. Hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you again soon.